What's going on, everybody? We're back with another ranking video for week 1 of fantasy football this year. Thursday night football was last night, so all the people that played there will not be included in these rankings. If you guys want me to do recaps of Thursday night football right after they happen, let me know. I didn't really have the time for it last night, but I can do it in the future going forward if anyone wants to. The ranking for the quarterback will be in 4-point per passing touchdown leagues, and the tight end rankings are for half PPR leagues. And at this point in the season, it's pretty much just the draft rankings like I talked about in my previous ranking videos. And the top 10 to 12 guys, pretty much everybody's playing without question right now, so there's not too much to really get into. I mean, if you're in a super flex league, then it could be different. If that's the case, just leave your questions down below in the comments and I can answer them. And with that said, let's get into it. All right, excluding Josh Allen from last night, my number 1 quarterback on the week this week is going to be Justin Herbert. He's playing the Las Vegas Raiders, team that held him out of the playoffs last year. Just another year in the offense, same weapons, everybody's returning. One of the clear MVP candidates. I mean, not much to really be said here. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, no matter what facet you're talking about. You're playing him everywhere. Not much else to say. Moving on from there, we got Lamar Jackson. He's going up against the New York Jets. The reason he's ranked here is because he's going up against the New York Jets. We also just found out that they're not going to get a deal done with him before the season, so he's definitely coming out with vengeance because he wants to get that bag. So he's going to come out on fire. He's got Mark Andrews healthy. He's got Rashad Bateman healthy. The only question mark really is J.K. Dobbins, so we'll see what's going on there. But I think he's going to come out guns blazing against the Jets and just absolutely decimate them. The last person I have in this first tier is Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs are playing the Arizona Cardinals. That game is probably going to end up being a shootout, and the Cardinals were very friendly to quarterbacks last year for their defense. Now, he did lose Tyreek Hill, so it's going to be our first opportunity to see what this offense really looks like without him, so that should be interesting. They did add a lot of weapons this offseason, but obviously none of them are Tyreek Hill, so like I said, it's going to be very fascinating to see how this offense actually plays out. Patrick Mahomes is just one of those talents, though, that he's going to be an elite quarterback, pretty much regardless of who he has out there, and he still has his favorite target, Travis Kelce. So not much to be worried here, but I'm just not ranking him like the top of this first tier. Moving on to the next tier, my quarterback 4, I have Jalen Hurts. The Eagles are going up against the Detroit Lions, one of the friendliest matchups in the NFL, and they have a new weapon in A.J. Brown. He's a rushing quarterback that can lead the league in rushing yards for the quarterback, so somebody that gives you a really high floor, but also a really high upside week over week. And in a favorable matchup, makes sense to have him ranked here in my opinion. After that, we're going to have Kyler Murray. He's going up on the other side of Patrick Mahomes against the Chiefs. I have him ranked behind Jalen Hurts because they're missing a lot of weapons. Not going to have DeAndre Hopkins, obviously. Zach Ertz and Rondale Moore are both questionable. That just gives more opportunity for Marquise Brown. But at the same time, they don't have all their weapons, so it's going to be difficult to really produce at the level that he can and will later in the season. So for right now, I have him ranked at the quarterback 5, or I guess 6 if you're including Josh Allen, but he's definitely in the second tier, and that's part of the reason why I also have Jalen Hurts ranked over him. The last person I have in this tier is Russell Wilson. Going to be our first opportunity to see him in a Broncos uniform, and he's going up against his old team in Seattle, so I'm sure that he's going to want to absolutely show out against them, but he's still with a new team, new weapons, new system. There's too many question marks to rank him among the top end quarterbacks, but I think ranking him in the second tier makes sense. He doesn't have quite the rushing ability that he used to have in his career, but he's still an elite talent and he has elite weapons all around him. So I think this is a fair ranking of him. Right now, my quarterback's 6. Moving on to the next tier, I have Joe Burrow going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is a tough defense. They do have all their weapons though, and their offense is good enough to overcome pretty much any defense they're playing. He just doesn't have necessarily that rushing upside to make him an elite quarterback regardless of the matchup. So that's why I have someone like Russell Wilson ranked over him, because he's a super favorable matchup while Joe Burrow is probably a neutral matchup. The other guy I have in this tier is Tom Brady, which there's a lot of question marks, but they're playing Dallas, which is a good defense. They have a lot of takeaways, but they've been giving up a lot of yards, and there is a possibility that Chris Godwin plays. It sounds like he's going to be a true game time decision. They're playing one of the night games, so it's really hard to trust Godwin for your fantasy team. We probably won't know if he's playing or not until about 90 minutes before game time, but it'll definitely help Brady a lot if he's out there playing, and regardless, he's going to have enough weapons to be a top 10 quarterback. So I have him ranked right here at quarterback 8 for right now. Moving on to my next tier, I'm going to have Trey Lance. The Niners are playing the Chicago Bears, so it's a very favorable matchup, and he's one of those quarterbacks that has elite upside just given his athletic ability and his rushing ability, but we really have no idea how good he is at quarterback, if he can really even throw the ball yet, and he just doesn't have a lot of reps in college or the NFL, so it's going to take time for him to develop, but he has great weapons all around him. He has a great play caller, a great coach, all of that. Everything is going for him, and he's a fantastic talent. So a lot of things add up for him, but we just really need to see how good he is. But just given his upside and the team that he's with and the matchup they have, I think that is fair to rank him here. And the people behind him have pretty tough matchups, which is part of the reason I have him ranked ahead. Like the next guy, Dak Prescott, going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucs have one of the best defenses in the NFL. They've been lacking a little bit on their pass defense the past couple years, but with everybody healthy this year, I think it's going to be strongly improved. And the Cowboys also don't have Amari Cooper. They don't have Michael Gallup. They don't have James Washington, so they're missing a ton of their passing weapons. They still do have CeeDee Lamb. They have the rookie Jalen Tolbert. They got Dalton Schultz. Like, they have some weapons, but it's probably not enough to really overcome this Tampa Bay defense. They're going to have to throw the ball a bunch, though, so there's definitely going to be points put up. But that's kind of the reason why I have Trey Lance ranked ahead of him. And the other guy I have ranked in this tier is Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Ayahuasca. It's just a tough scene. They have barely any weapons. I mean, Christian Watson is there and Romeo Doubs is there, but their quote-unquote wide receiver one for the year, Allen Lazard, isn't going to be here week one. Robert Tunyon's coming off of an ACL injury. I mean, I guess Randall Cobb and Sammy Watkins are there, but those are wide receiver one. Like, that's a tough scene. That's why I think Aaron Jones will get a ton of opportunity. And Aaron Rodgers is just so good that if he gets the time, which it sounds like his offensive line is going to be pretty solid, if he can get the time, he'll be able to throw people open and he will be good. But it's tough to see him being elite, even with these weapons, no matter how good you are. So that's why I have him ranked at the back end of this tier. And I would rather play someone like Trey Lance, who has more upside if you're playing a quarterback in this range. Moving on to the last tier, the first guy I have ranked in that is Derek Carr of the Raiders. They're going against the Los Angeles Chargers, which is a very good defense. They were kind of a run funnel last year, but they made some moves to kind of hopefully improve that. Although their new signing, J.C. Jackson, will not be playing, they're still going to be a solid defense. But the Raiders obviously made a big improvement this offseason, getting Devontae Adams from the Packers, and that should be a massive help to their offense. I mean, getting one of the best receivers in the game is going to help any offense. They already have Hunter Renfrow. They have Darren Waller. So there's a ton of weapons there for Derek Carr to throw to. A new head coach, so there's a whole new offensive scheme. So there's going to be a lot of things to really watch here. It's going to be a really, really interesting game. Kind of must watch if you're an NFL fan. And I mean, if you're fucking watching these videos, then you definitely are. Anyways, though, Derek Carr, quarterback 12. After that, I'm at quarterback 13. I have Kirk Cousins. He's going up against Green Bay, who also has a really good defense. He's another person that has absolutely elite weapons, and as much hate as Kirk Cousins get, he's been a good quarterback, especially since he's gotten Justin Jefferson. He's been a really good quarterback. I think he's finished as a quarterback 11 at least 2 out of the last 3 years. So he's a good, even for fantasy, a good quarterback. It sounds like they're going to be more pass heavy this year, and Justin Jefferson is arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. Sounds like Adam Thielen's still solid. They got Dalvin Cook, who's a great receiving weapon. I mean, also a rushing weapon, so it just kind of opens everything up. KJ Osborne is your wide receiver 3. Irv Smith is back. I mean, there's just a ton of weapons there, so I think he's going to be somebody that, if he wasn't picked up in your league, is going to be one of the best streamers. If you're in a super flex league, I would be so stoked to have him, considering where you probably got him. This is a little bit tougher matchup for him, but he's still going to be ranked here as my quarterback 13. Next up, I actually have Jameis Winston. A lot of this is due to matchup. They're playing the Atlanta Falcons, who are getting better on defense. They have a really good cornerback in AJ Terrell, but besides that, they've just been exposed a lot. And the Saints have so many weapons with Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave now. I think Jameis will be able to do good against this matchup. He also was doing really good last year before he tore his ACL. And so he's somebody that I'm okay streaming if you kind of just punted the quarterback position. The other guy I like here is Matt Ryan. A lot of that is due to matchup. If you heard me talk about it in my last 2 videos, they're playing the Houston Texans, which I think they'll absolutely be able to dominate. It's a division game too. So I think the Colts are going to want to come out strong. Definitely not, a sexy pick, not a high upside play, but he's going to pass the ball enough to be relevant for fantasy. I could definitely see him scoring multiple passing touchdowns. If you just need someone to score you points, he's going to be a great pick for you. If you want a little bit higher, I know that was my top 15. I can just talk about someone else really quick. Trevor Lawrence is also a very interesting play. They got more weapons this year, obviously, and they had just one of the worst situations last year overall that I've ever seen in my life. And they're playing the Commanders, which was a very, very quarterback-friendly matchup last year, and Chase Young still isn't back yet. So a lot of things add up for him where Trevor Lawrence could be a really nice play this week, or maybe even a DFS play if you want to get a little bit lower person, which I was thinking about making some DFS picks every week. It's never really been something that I've done, but I think it could be fun. And I know a lot of people do content on it. So if you want to see that, just let me know. But yeah, here's my top 15, I guess 16 with Trevor Lawrence quarterbacks for week 1, excluding Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford, because they would have definitely been in here if not. If you have any questions about the quarterbacks, let me know. We're going to move on to the tight ends now. All right, same deal with tight ends and not including anyone who played last night. That would be Dawson Knox and Tyler Higbee. I don't know if Tyler Higbee would have been ranked in here, but regardless, he is not going to be shown here. So the first two guys kind of just go hand in hand. It's obviously Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews. Whichever one you like, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to have both of them, but if you have them, you're obviously playing them. I have Travis Kelce ranked ahead just because they're going up against Arizona. Could definitely be a higher scoring game. They also lost Tyreek Hill, so it's kind of the only option. Mark Andrews still will be absolutely elite too. They just don't quite pass as much, so they won't get the same volume. Regardless of who you have, just feel fantastic about having them and feel very confident about it. It's an absolute positional advantage. Not much really to be said here. Guy that I have in his own tier by himself in the second tier is Kyle Pitts. He's kind of a very unique situation where the whole offense in Atlanta is going to run through him, but Marcus Mariota's throwing the ball, so we don't really know how good that's going to be. Pitts is just such a freak talent and freak athlete that he'll be able to create for himself, and just the volume that he got last year as a rookie is ridiculous. Hasn't really been seen at the tight end position. We have every right to think that there's going to be a step taken this next year. Just get in the end zone a couple more times. He's going to easily have over 120, 130 targets. So this is something that could be happening a lot. Kyle Pitts is going to be his own tier in the second tier. Starting off the third tier, we're going to have Darren Waller. Similar to what I talked about with Derek Carr. They're playing up against the Chargers, so it's going to be a high-scoring game, and they don't have J.C. Jackson, although he would probably be up against Devontae Adams, and it would free stuff up for Darren Waller. Regardless, I think this is going to be a much improved offense because they were just kind of inconsistent last year. They had some weeks where they were really good, but that's kind of been their MO the past couple years. And there's definitely a reason to be concerned because there's no way he's going to get the same target volume he has gotten, but I think the offense will be so much better that he could be way more efficient with less target, and he's another elite athlete, so having him ranked here is only right. After that, I'm going to have Dalton Schultz. Tampa Bay matchup is definitely super tough for him, but I think he's going to get so many targets just due to necessity from the offense. And he showed last year that he can produce at an elite level for tight end. So I think that he's going to again. And the person who's ranked ahead of him in a lot of places, but I'm not ranking him right there right now, is George Kittle. There's a decent chance he doesn't even play this week. I'm still including him right here because if you're playing, you kind of have to play him. If you drafted him where you did, I doubt you have a good backup, but he's obviously hurt, and there's so many questions with that offense. I can't have him ranked ahead of the guys here. You could even have him in the lower tier. Doesn't really matter because if you have him, you're going to play him if he does play. If not, maybe look at one of the guys that talked about the end here. I can mention a couple other people. I know like Austin Hooper isn't on here, but he's always a good streaming option just because there's so many opportunity and Tennessee right now. You're going to have to stay close to that, and hopefully we'll get news before Sunday if he's going to play or not. Starting off the next year, I have Dallas Goedert. Like I talked about with Jalen Hurts, they have an absolutely great matchup against the Detroit Lions. There is going to be a lot of target competition with not a lot of volume, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But this is the first year where they have a whole offseason as Dallas Goedert as a true tight end, and Philadelphia has always used their tight end a lot. So he's still going to be a good play, but definitely in this tier below the guys above him. The other guy I have in this same tier is TJ Hawkinson, who's in a very similar situation. Actually, also has a decent amount of target competition with DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not a great offense. It's funny they're actually going up against each other. And the Philadelphia defense is definitely a lot better than the Detroit defense. But TJ showed that he can be really good on a week basis, but we haven't seen the consistency really yet in his career. Start off the next tier, I have Zach Ertz, who, like I said, he's questionable to play. Not really sure about that. If he does play, he's going to get a ton of targets and will be really good for fantasy, but it's very questionable right now if he's going to play. So it's going to be another person that we'll have to monitor as it gets closer to game time. Next up, I got Pat Freiermuth. They're going up against the Cincinnati Bengals, who was another defense that was really friendly to tight ends last year. And he quietly had one of the best rookie tight end seasons ever. Another case, though, where the quarterback play is a little bit questionable. And there's also a ton of target competition with Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, although he may not play, but it sounds like he's going to. George Pickens, Najee Harris gets a ton of targets. I mean, just a lot of competition there, but they were really nice against tight ends last year, and he's a really good talent. So if you have him, you're probably playing him anyways, but I think he definitely will have some opportunity in this game. All right, to start with the last tier for my tight ends, we're going to have Albert O. Broncos are going up against Seattle, so definitely a chance for a revenge game. Albert O sounds like he's actually the starting tight end because the rookie they drafted, who was looking like he might take his job, got hurt, and he is super athletic. So there's definitely going to be opportunity, and this is going to be a much improved offense, obviously, from last year with Russ. And when you're in this part of the ranking, you kind of just want somebody who can score a touchdown for you, and great offenses are always opportunity for touchdowns. So tight end 12, I have Albert O. Okay, yeah, I thought I did something weird. I forgot to talk about Cole Kmet. I have him on my tight end 11 in this same tier 5. They're playing the Niners, which is a tough matchup for them. And this offense is probably not going to be very good, but I think it's very likely that he's the number 2 option in this offense. And he's at the young age where you can still break out and become something. So the opportunity is going to be there for him. We just have to see if he can actualize it. He had one of the best target shares in the tight end position in the back half of the year last year. So it'll be interesting to see if that will keep up. I think it's going to. So why I have him ranked in this tier. So tight end 11, I have Cole Kmet. Okay, back to my tight end 13. I'm going to have Hunter Henry. He was tied in the league lead in touchdowns last year, which, like I was talking about with Albert O, is kind of all you're really hoping for with these back end tight ends. Now, there's definitely been rumors that they want to include Jonnu Smith more, so we'll see if that happens. But Henry's just a person who will definitely have touchdown opportunity. So if you're streaming the position and that's all you're really looking for, somebody I'm definitely interested in if he's on the waiver wire. And then, I mean, at this point, you're kind of shooting in the dark. I have David Njoku next. They paid him this offseason, so there's definitely opportunity from there. The Panthers aren't a great defense, but the Browns offense, especially the passing offense, it does not seem like it'll be very good this year. So not a lot of hope there, but he's really athletic, pretty young, and he got paid. So some things line up for him where, if you're streaming the position, you could do worse. And the last guy I have is Irv Smith, who is with the Vikings. They're playing the Green Bay Packers. Like I said, it's a tough matchup, and he's coming off an injury. But he was another really talented guy who showed promise but got hurt last year. And it sounds like he's healthy, but I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see with that. But he's the last guy I have ranked here. And remember, I'm not ranking Tyler Higbee or Dawson Knox because they played last night, so no point in really ranking them. But yeah, that's it. Those are my top 15 tight ends. Let me know what you guys think about those. If you have any questions, like I said, just leave them in the comments. I'm not sure if I'll be posting any more videos before the start of week 1, but I will definitely see you guys next week. Until then, later.